I'm Shantae.
And I'm Jamaica.
And we're the ladies of Off the Chain Mondays. Episode 5 in this thing.
And we have a special guest with us today. Joining us is Miss Simba.
Exodus.
Yeah, she's the founder of Exodus United. She's going to join us in our topics today, as well as just kind of give a description of what Exodus United is about. We'll get to know her a little bit better and the company that she represents. But today we're just going to talk about mental health and the awareness and how we deal with it in the Black community, as well as unity. And then we have like a pop culture topics that we're gonna
just
bring
like
up.
Some random stuff that we seen on social media.
So let me tell y'all be wild.
Yeah.
On social media, y'all wild.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting old because social media. I just be like, if it wasn't for certain things in my life, I probably wouldn't even be on it.
I be on there just so I can laugh because some people be clowning.
I'll be on there for 2 reasons. Because I need a good laugh, and because I got to monitor with my childhood. So.
Oh yeah, because Lean be on Instagram like.
Yeah, Lean. You hear that? Shotgun.
Selfish. Right. She be on there with the duck face with her little friends. So
we got it locked and loaded for you,
right? Because I be watching every little Instagram video. I'm like,
hey,
let me go and get it.
We got our viewers checking in. What up?
What's up? Let me get it up too so I can reply.
So we'll have Shantae start off the mental health.
You want to start it off?
I'll kick it off. So this is how we ended up talking about this topic. If you're Black or even Hispanic, seems like there's a lot of stigmas with mental health. And you kind of, either your family kind of like brushes it under the rug, or they clown you for it, or whatever the case may be. So we just thought it would be an interesting topic to discuss. Like, why are we so conditioned to be so against mental health awareness? It's a little disheartening.
Yeah, talking about it.
Accepting.
But like last week, for instance, I had made a post on Facebook. I suffer from depression and anxiety. That's my thing. And along with depression and anxiety, there comes a lot of things that it seems like it may be normal behavior, and you kind of be like, oh, she's lazy, or oh, she sleeps too much, or she always got a bad attitude, or whatever the case may be. Those are stigmas that come along with it, and nobody stops and think, wait a minute, maybe this person needs help. And trying to get that help, it's like almost next to impossible. Like, that's something that for some reason the Black community is like dead set against you going to get help for your mental issues. And if you do have mental issues and you are getting help, then you kind of get clowned for it. And it's just a little strange. Why do you think that is?
That's a good question.
I don't know if it's just like pride or.
I feel like, from my experience seeing, like, for instance, I work with students a lot with the youth, and I feel like they look at it as a sign of weakness because they feel like they don't want to be, criticized or whatever, cracked on or stuff like that by their friends as this weak person. Because the thing is that, the youth, in the school, is who's the hardest.
Exactly.
And if you show a sign of weakness, you're a prey. So the thing is that they want to put up that front and that facade when really they need it, but they don't want to be perceived as weak or less. And we see it all the time, but it's not until like a boiling point or they're about to, go ahead and try to kill themselves. Right. They basically say, look, like they're about to explode because they need help. They just didn't want to ask. So that's what I feel like, that they're afraid of being perceived as weak.
Now, see, with the suicide thing, I'm gonna touch on that real quick. That's something that's near and dear to my heart. I had a boyfriend who committed suicide.
Wow, sorry.
It was about 3 years ago. In 2018, so it was about 3 years ago. But even because I made a post maybe like last week, I went for counseling. Right. It was supposed to be for like grieving or whatever. And when I went, that's when I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And of course, they want to medicate you and all that. I'm not into medicine like that. So I
meditate, not medicate.
Right. I'm more into I will meditate. I will drink a herbal tea. I'm not into medicine like that, but that's just my thing. But one session that I went in, I said to the lady that it's hard to continue living at this point. And she was like, be careful what you say because I don't want to have to call Lakeside to come get you. And I'm like, well, first of all, I'm paying. Yeah, that's first. Second of all,
They treat you like a statistic.
right.
They don't really care.
But my thing is, if I can't be open here,
Right.
in a
If I'm in
counseling
a safe
session,
space here,
where am I?
Yeah.
Where can I express myself? That's something that a lot of us maybe hold on to. Like, there's days where it's hard to get out of the bed, literally. Like, you have to force yourself to convince yourself to get out of the bed, and you can't even express that type of thought without someone saying, lock her up.
To commit you.
Yeah, lock her up.
Yeah. Now, did she say it in a way that was like a turn off or just?
Oh, but I ain't never go back.
No.
It was like that.
Because I feel like, are they supposed to like give you that disclaimer?
They
protocol?
are.
But
They are.
like, all right, they have protocol, but the thing is that they don't have to do it in that manner. For instance, I
Right.
had a student back in the day. He wrote a poem, or he wrote a rap about like feeling suicidal, and boom, they automatically fake rapped him. And I'm like, and I ran over there. I'm like, he doesn't need. He's just expressing himself, trying to say that he needs help. He doesn't
Right.
necessarily need. But see, the thing is that all these people have higher ups. They're on their tail. That if they don't do that, they're like a mandated reporter. They could technically like go to jail or whatever because they have certain protocols. So the problem is, I say all this politics. I don't call it politics. I call it politics. They have all these people systematically programmed and not really being compassionate and caring for the people, giving them the help they need because they're so worried about, am I going to lose my job? Am I going to get arrested? And da-da-da. So they're trying to follow all these rules and protocols, you know, tossing these people around like rag dolls to throwing them in this, throwing them in that. And that's not, it's a turnout. It's not, that kid, he didn't want to be there. Like, that's not the real help they need. They just throwing them in that therapy, whatever, and all that stuff. So it's sad, you know, there's not so many people out here that really care, even though they carry this title of counselor or whatever.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean anything. You're here for a check, like get on
Yep.
your face.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's hard. You need people that care, and you need to have a safe space. But it's hard to find.
So at the end of the day, it ends up
Counseling.
hurting people more
Yeah.
so than helping them.
I agree.
And the crazy thing about it is society does it to us as well. Like, for instance, you see, like, okay, a Caucasian child shoots up the school. First thing they say is,
They're
he had mental health issues.
But they
But
never say anything about.
Somebody who shoots somebody on a corner,
Right.
that person of color,
Right.
he a criminal, he
Right.
an animal, lock him up.
And they
Exactly.
choose what they want to put out in the news.
Yeah.
They don't put out the nice smiling picture. They put out the
And a lot of people are
propaganda.
suffering
Yeah.
from things like PTSD because they had traumatic childhoods and things like that. And nobody's taking these things into account. Nobody's helping anyone. We all just kind of like coming down on them. Why you don't have to
You
know?
know,
Why?
Do you think it comes from the head though? Like, you know how you say, like, why is it this way in the, especially like in the, you know, black and brown communities?
Right.
Do you think that it has a lot to do with, you know, like the elders in the family?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I mean, it
it's
does.
generations.
It's
of
generation,
conditioning.
yeah.
Right.
Like they teach their children. And
You
they
gotta
teach
be
their
tough.
children.
You gotta
It's
stay.
just-
You gotta be a certain way. You gotta. And
Don't
it's
let
just-
your boys cry.
Yeah. Boys don't cry.
Boys don't cry.
You gotta man up.
that's
That's
bullshit.
like, okay, so if I gotta man up as you know,
At 6 years old, you telling the kid to man up.
So then they don't
don't
feel-
express your emotions because you gotta hold that in and man up. That means a man or a boy can't say, "Oh, mom, I'm feeling this way.
yeah.
I'm feeling like I don't want to be here anymore," because I gotta man up.
Right.
Right. So
And
they're
even as
holding
a
all that
female,
in.
you gotta be a strong woman. You can't show, even as a female, they're like, "Oh, you gotta be the strong woman. You can't show everybody your weakness," like you were
Right,
saying.
right.
You gotta stand your ground on certain things.
You
It's
gotta
like,
put a
but
facade
some days I can't stand my ground. I can't.
Right.
Some days I gotta be.
tired.
And I feel like that's life period though. Like everybody, I think it's a good thing to put out there that you're not alone. That this happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, life can come at you.
Yep.
Yes.
And
hard.
you know,
and
at a
fast.
certain point, you can feel like defeated, and you just
Exactly.
don't like know what to do next. It doesn't mean that you'll stay there. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? It
right.
doesn't mean that but it's
Yeah,
not a
Brian
bad
was
thing
saying,
that you feel that way.
I guess he was referring to the kids. He was like, these kids mean to each other, so it makes it hard for them to open up to each
Yeah,
other.
Because
They can't even go to their friends
they
and
roast,
tell them.
The thing
Yeah.
is that I told a kid yesterday, it's funny because, you know, obviously we're all in middle school, so everybody likes to roast each other, like, oh, da-da-da. But I said, you know what? I'm gonna make you guys, y'all have to do a compliment medal. They were like, Miss, that's so lame. I was like, no, but the thing is that you guys start roasting and doing all that stuff, but then it leads to this one, like, whoa, you took it too serious, and they're
Right.
getting their feelings, and now all of a sudden, like, I'm gonna, like, you know, steal off on you, I'm gonna start fighting, and then
'Cause
it
you never
turns
know what's a
into,
soft spot for somebody.
so, yeah, it's like, I mean, it's a
it
part
turns
of it.
left.
Yeah,
That's it.
so,
But I
but,
also feel like people do a lot of, especially in this generation, you do a lot of like tearing down more so than like building
Lifting
each
up.
other,
Yeah,
building each other up.
it's
I mean,
true.
it's fine to, you know, have, you know, be able to
And I
go
can't
through
even
that,
lie.
but-
Even when I was in school,
yeah.
I clown all the time.
Yeah, we do
I
it.
clown all the time.
It's-
So it was.
There's limits, there's
Yeah,
boundaries.
there's
People
limits
don't
that
know
you
that.
go. You know where to go and where
and
not
you
to
never
go.
know what somebody is doing
Exactly,
with
Yeah.
exactly. You
I feel
never
like
know.
kids ain't thinking that far
They're
into
not.
it though.
Yeah.
So that's
the
everything
problem.
is hearing in the moment. What's going on? Hearing in the moment. So he goes
And
to
as
me,
you
I gotta
get
roast him back.
exactly,
You know
as
what
you
I
get
mean?
older, you start to realize. But when I was in this,
Yeah.
I was saying whatever I wanted to say.
They start going.
You
then-
know, it could have been like, oh, you know, it could have been the simplest thing, and it could have been affected like, oh, you ain't
Like,
got no
remember-
daddy in your house.
Right.
And
Or
it's
what
like-
are those?
Then,
yeah,
you know,
and you
man,
never
stuff like
know
that
that
can affect,
situation that they going through. Like I know I said a few things, and then when you think about it, like when people used to say things to me, I'm just like, oh, okay, now you know, you start to realize as you mature into like, because you don't realize that when you saying it,
Right.
you like, you gonna say something about me, I'm gonna say something about
Right.
you. We gonna just
Until-
go back and forth.
Until you say something about someone's mom, and then all of a sudden that's it. So that's the problem. Like
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
yeah, it's fun and games. And I understand. You know,
Yeah.
the kids like they're gonna
Right.
do that. We all do that.
Right.
But I don't think they know the boundaries and stuff, and they're not sensitive and they're not receptive with the people's body language. And I tell them all the time, go ahead and roast and clown with your friends, but you need to read people's body language because
Yeah.
if you see them all of a sudden getting a little whatever,
You need
you
to
need to
just-
understand
and just
that.
kinda-
But you have to teach them that though,
Yeah.
Right,
because
exactly.
Because they're not gonna know
like,
that.
you know what I mean? But that
Yeah.
so that's the thing, you just have to like teach them more and stuff like that. And
Uncomfortable,
even adults,
that's- yeah.
That's what I even do with my own kids. Cause like
That's good.
I teach them. Cause my kids clown all day. The two of them will tell you. My kids
Yeah.
clown.
All
That's
day.
what all kids do.
And I tell them
So-
though, it's not a joke if you're the only one laughing.
Right.
You know what I mean? You gotta pay attention to a real comedian. Pays attention to their audience. They feed off the audience energy. You
Right.
understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So if you're saying something
And they're
and
not
you
laughing
notice
back.
that the other person is not laughing with you, it's
on
not
board
funny.
to
And
you.
you
Yeah.
need to reel yourself in because
Yeah.
now you could be stepping on somebody's toes, and then next thing you know, it's meet me after school.
And then they wonder what. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I agree 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. But you know what? It's not just the kids.
No,
Exactly.
it's not.
It's not just the
Sometimes
kids.
the adults are worse because
They see
they're more
how-
they're more
Yeah,
mature
they
than
see
kids.
how the adults operate. A lot of people get what they're doing
Do it
man,
from
from their
the
parents.
yeah, from
And
the
then
adults.
it's sad
That's
when
what I
you hear
said,
about these
conditions.
kids
Like,
who are
I
6
mean,
years old
Like
committing
in my,
suicide.
like
Yeah.
as growing up, my
Yeah.
parents, even now, we clown all day.
Right.
Like, but that's just, and the thing is, obviously they're not gonna say something that's like, okay, I already know it's funny, I'm gonna laugh with my dad. But like, we clown all day, so it's a certain, I guess,
It's a level.
Bond.
it's a certain level that you go to when you.
Yeah, but you
And
have to
also,
understand.
yeah.
and it's also teaching your kids treat people how you would want to be treated.
Exactly.
If
And
you
it's a
wouldn't want
difference
somebody
to it,
treating
yeah.
you disrespectful, then don't treat somebody else that way. And then, if they retaliate and then be looking like who did it and what for. Like, were you treating that person the way you would want to be treated?
Exactly.
But then again, you have some
Yeah.
kids too where I will tell them that, like, because there's that all over the place. They do on to as you would, like others, but they be like, they'll say, oh yeah, I'll try him and what? I don't care. Like, they'll say, like,
Exactly. They don't
They
care.
don't care because
Yeah.
they got ego, they got pride, yeah. Like, so they'll say it like that. They'll be like, I'll try him and what? Like, so what? Like, we can get it right now. So the thing is that some of them, they have the pride and the ego where they think doesn't matter. They can say whatever they want. They're untouchable. Like, it's almost like they want it. They want to provoke it.
Mhm.
They
I was like that
they
at
feed
some
off that.
I was like
I
that.
mean, when I was younger, and if I had, like anyone came, like said anything to me, I knew, and I could have, but at the time being younger, I was like, I can't go to my parents and tell them.
Yeah.
I can't come and confide in my parents that, oh, I'm going through this. Oh, I feel this way.
So
Like,
why did you feel that way? Why did you feel like you couldn't go to them?
it's not because it's not because they showed that, oh, hey, you can't, it just was never really talked about.
Okay.
It's not really talked about.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I mean, we used to just joke about, like, oh, like my brother, oh, he got bipolar. Like, we used to just joke about it. Like, oh, Kali just does this crazy shit. Like, he just, doing some crazy stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
He's just crazy
As
like
opposed
that.
to
Like
right.
we don't think
Shantae
about
just wow.
we don't think about it as it could be deeper
Right.
on why he's like this
Right.
or why it takes him off. I mean, as I got older, then you start to realize he wasn't just really crazy. This is stuff inner that is making him like this.
Right.
It's not, because he's really crazy. You got to think about it. It's other shit that's making him tick off. It's other stuff that you might say
Triggers.
that
Yeah,
triggers
yeah.
him. But
Yeah.
but at the time when you're younger, you're like, oh, Kylie's just crazy. Like you're not thinking about the stuff that you might be saying that triggers him to be crazy. Because it's like, I mean, when my brother was younger, they used to call me every time in school, and it's like no one understood him. But yeah, he used to come to me, and I was like we only 2 years apart. So for him to be in kindergarten, and me being in second grade, I had to mature myself just so I could handle and deal with him while we in school, so he could level down. But at the time, and function. But at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I'm just like, okay, let me just do this, so I could, so I could just. But we didn't have a label for him. It was just Khalif is crazy. So Khalif is just doing this. We didn't have like a label to it. So I mean, Khalif picked up a whole desk and threw it at a teacher. We didn't know why he was doing it at the time, but it's certain things why he act out like this and why affect
And not to say like that's like this. What I'm about to say, I'm not saying that this may be the case with your parents, but I also feel like with adults, a lot of adults haven't gotten the healing that they need. So when it comes to their children or their nieces or nephews or anybody in the youth, within their family, they kind of just it's like go with the flow. Don't talk about it. We're not gonna talk about it anymore, type of deal.
Or if we do, we talking about it in a joking manner.
Yeah, or just
because they don't know how to deal with
exactly because they haven't really dealt with themselves and what they need to.
It was crazy, and this was before Khalif even became, because he's only 21 now. It's before he even became an adult himself. He used to be in the room. He used to just meditate. He used to just be there, sit, and we were like, what the hell is this?
He's trying to get himself
What
together.
the hell is what he's doing? And this is us as younger, like I wasn't even an adult yet. So this is me being younger. So he was literally trying to self-heal
Right.
himself.
Wow.
And that's a lot of reasons why people get into drugs too. Because they are trying to for instance, my daughter's father is bipolar. And when he was a young adult, he got really heavy into drugs. I was never into that because, I experimented, but everything made me sick. And if you make me vomit, that was the end of me. But he would experiment with heavy drugs. And I used to say all the time, when I was 19, 20, when I first met him, I'm like, that man's nuts. He is a whole caseload. He's crazy. And then as I got older, I was like, he probably needs some damn help. Normal people, when you think about it, normal people do not exhibit this type of behavior. So why? Nobody sat down and said, why is this young
people
man
want
acting
to
this way?
escape,
Right.
people find their escapes in different things, and some of it is more dangerous than other. And people will front, and people will say, no, I don't escape with that. I just do it because I enjoy it. But they don't realize that, if you go deep into it, you know what I mean. That's why you're trying to escape something within yourself because you don't want to deal with it. It's too stressful. It's too painful.
Especially with certain ones like schizophrenia and bipolar, because those are actual chemical imbalances. And you can't control that.
Right.
So you literally go from 1 minute of euphoria, being in that happy place, to the next thing you know, you breaking stuff up in the house, and people looking like, the hell is wrong with him? What's the problem?
Exactly.
And instead of getting him help, you just kind of brush it off and say, that's how he is.
Right.
No, it's not how he is, because he wasn't always that way. Or even with
what made him that way.
Right.
Come out the womb like that, because that's another thing.
What triggered him to be this way? And me personally, my brother probably gonna have to tell that story. I don't know.
Well, usually what happens is, because I did some studying on it. When I went to college, my major originally was psychology. I was deep into it. I studied, I read books, all kind of stuff. I just wanted to know so much information.
Right.
And I found out that especially with bipolar and schizophrenia, those things get onset in puberty. And that's because of your hormones and things in your body are beginning to change, and along with that, people don't realize that your brain changes too.
Yeah.
And some people come out on the okay side of it, and some people don't.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is,
And trauma.
with trauma, you know, rape survivors, abuse, neglect, things like that.
Yeah.
And then also, like I said, with people like your own family, because I got a sister who has ADD.
Yeah.
My little sister has ADD, and I would do the same thing, kind of similar with your brother. Like, they used to call me out of my class. Now, me and my sister are 5 years apart, so they would call me out of class and be like, Shawana got out of her seat today and walked out of the classroom. And I'm like, okay, well, what y'all want me to do?
Right.
I'm not home. Like, all I'm gonna do is go home and tell my mom this is what happened. And my family would clown her. She's a space cadet. She's ditzy. She's this. She's that. And come to find out, no, it's not. It's that she has a different way of focusing her attention.
You have to meet those needs.
Exactly.
And now with kids of my own, my son has ADHD. So now, like, knowing that, you know, growing up with a sister who had it, kind of makes it easier for me to realize what's wrong with my son. Not wrong with my son, but what's different with my son.
Right.
So instead of me saying, oh, put him on a pill. Because that's the cure that the school wants you to do. Put him on a pill. Give him Adderall. Give him Ritalin. That's
all that
stuff
make
kids
them
so up.
little.
No, all that stuff.
Space
Even in birth, even you know, I don't even take birth control. You know, the lady who invented birth control was racist, and she actually invented it to try to keep down and, you know, oppress the minority community. I researched it, and all that stuff. We don't know all this stuff. Even in the food though too, like all that stuff is they're drugging you.
Right,
like
what's in it and
all that.
Yeah.
They're trying to
I feel
sedate and make us become like back in the Matrix. Like, no, I'm not.
That's why I refuse. And the crazy thing to me is, check this out. So I took him to be evaluated because I noticed that something was a little bit different. Now I have identical twins, so you're gonna notice the differences right away.
Right.
Because you got one twin who's acting this way and one twin who's acting this way, and you're like, okay, why this twin ain't doing what this twin doing? What's going on here? So I took him to get evaluated, and we sat down with a psychiatrist. She was in the room with my son for 30 minutes and said, oh, we're gonna put him on Adderall, we just need to figure out the dose. And I was like, well, wait a minute, hold up. What is the alternative? Because I never agreed to medicate my child. I never said I wanted him on no medication.
Right.
She's like, well, if you want Social Security, then you gotta put him on that. Who said I wanted Social Security? I ain't asking you for that.
But then that lady,
She
wasn't
stereotyped
there to
you
She wasn't.
because
she did. And that's what I'm saying.
And
the
assume
difference
that
And you know what was bad about it?
Security.
Politics.
I'm gonna tell you what was worse about it. She was black. It made me so angry. I'm like, black
They
women,
do it
you
too.
gonna sit here.
especially when they in that field, they do it too.
I said, I'm not
Because
medicating myself.
doctors,
I
all
want
of
him to
them.
have therapy.
Right.
Or teach me some methods on how to cope with it, help him through it. Like, let's do therapy.
Yeah.
She was really upset about that.
Amanda want us
Yeah,
to say
because
hey.
they're challenging.
Hey, I told you you have to comment for us to let you.
I
that
care.
shout out. I told you.
But you know, my sister, she deals with education.
Oh yeah.
And there's actually universities that pay her to go to different universities out of state even
That's awesome.
to speak in regards to like her research and, you know, like what she's found because you know, when you start off undergrad or whatnot, you start off as, you know, like a teacher and then you go, she went from that to being a principal and then from that to the just over the whole school district of Holmes, and then you know she does her own thing. But her when she did her dissertation for her PhD, she touched on what kind of like what we're talking about because with her being a principal, she kind of firsthand saw how teachers are not equipped to deal with children who like say for instance acts out in the way that your brother acts out, and they don't take into consideration a lot of stuff. Like there were kids who they would just bring them to her. They wouldn't even take them to like the teacher. They would bring them to her because she had the capacity to, understand that, there may be something deeper going on here. And the kid will calm down. Like the kid would go from just being, irate, just doing a bunch of stuff, and they take them to her, and they would just calm down, And a lot of people don't think about, on top of having, a certain way of, of how you process things. There could also be things that, at home.
Homeless, living in hotels, like.
What's a big thing about it, especially when kids act out, the first thing parents think about, especially minorities, is beating them.
Right.
Yeah.
Hit it
That
out.
too.
Oh, you doing this in school?
Oh, how many times I done heard
Right.
Adrian just need a good ass whooping? Excuse me.
Right.
No.
No, he needs
Did
some-
you
My
find
child
out
needs
the source?
attention.
And then
Did
you
you
take them
find
to the
out-
schools, and those teachers aren't equipped to handle that type
Exactly,
of
and
stuff.
they'll call
They wanna
you
just
and
kick
tell
them
you,
out.
boom, boom,
They
boom.
just kick them out the
I
room.
mean, with my parents, I really, when Kali did act out, I mean, they rarely, I mean, it has to be something that, you know, they know he knows better on, but like, even with that situation, Kali didn't get, you know, beat or anything like that from that situation. And he did some wild shit. I was like, you need an ass whooping. When they called me and from my class and told me what,
get it.
I was like, you gonna get your ass beat. But like at the same time, you gotta figure out why
Exactly,
it happened.
exactly.
What made them flip? And I mean, like I said, I was 7 years old. 7 when Kali got into the school with me. So for 7 to 10 years old, I had to like figure out Kali all through those years while we was going through school,
Yeah.
so I could reel him back
Right,
in
yeah.
and get him down
And
to
you know
a
what, it
certain
shouldn't
thing.
be
And
your
it's
job to do
crazy.
that.
It's
Not
because
at
the teacher
that
used to
age.
call me on the
That's what I'm
on
saying.
the
That's-
loudspeaker like Jimmy and Guzzy.
Call my
And
mother.
that's what her research is about, trying
Exactly.
to implement ways to better equip these teachers
Yeah.
as well as like parents. Sometimes y'all need to check in as well. And if you got something that you need to heal from so that you can better
Absolutely.
like, you know, deal with your child and help your child, do that for yourself as well.
Exactly.
Like there's nothing wrong with
I
that.
am 32 years old, and at one point, me and my mom were like bumping heads. And her thing, I don't know what's wrong with you. And I would be like, ain't nothing wrong with me. What's wrong with you? Until I was maybe like 27, she sat me down and she said, you know what? You got exposed to a lot of shit that maybe a kid should not have been exposed to, and I'm sorry. And her just saying that
Wow, that's
and
deep.
acknowledging,
Exactly.
literally,
Relieve
I feel like that's when my life started to change, because
Wow.
I was like, you know
She
what?
was like,
She's
Now,
accepting it now.
she's accepting it, and she realizes her mistake, and we make mistakes because there's no handbook on how to be
Right.
a parent.
It's not.
We are literally winging this thing. Don't nobody, we don't
Day
know.
by day.
Day by day. I didn't even know how to change a pamper when I had Aliyah. So
Yeah.
for me, like, you're learning as you go. You know how you want them to turn out, but you don't know how to get them
Right,
there.
right.
So it's
Exactly.
trial and error, and everything is not, oh, beat your child, because every child is different. And every
Right.
child is
Yeah.
like, I got 3 at home. I know if I spank Aliyah, depending on what the issue is, it may or may not have an effect on her.
right.
I know if I spank Aiden, it's gonna destroy his whole life. It's gonna be the worst day ever for him. So it really depends. And I hear, like, even with my parent, like my mom, it's 4 of them. 2 of them was like, we had a great childhood. The other 2 was like, our childhood was trash. Y'all had the same damn childhood. How did
You have a better childhood.
Because,
How did
yeah,
you see it
It's
better?
their perception and
Yeah.
what they're living through. They receive it differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I think sometimes we have to have like mercy on the kids and like be able to talk to them and understand. I'm gonna tell you,
Yep.
my first month of teaching in Orlando, my car got stolen by a 6th grader. I'm
Wow.
not kidding you.
Wow.
Car got stolen by a 6th grader. I'm not gonna say the middle school. And people were like, so if they find the kid, are you gonna press charges? And I said no. And they were like, why? You're crazy. Like, you need to hold them accountable. They never found the kid anyways. They got involved in a hit and run. But I said no, because if this kid wants to change their deadline, that's gonna follow him. He's not gonna be able to like do certain things and apply for certain things and vote and all sorts of stuff. And I'm like, these kids, they're probably just misguided and they're just, basically like involved in the wrong thing. This is why we need to work with them and teach them other alternatives
Right,
and stuff
exactly.
like that. But it was crazy because I felt like it was a test because we're sitting here advocating for these at-risk kids, and talk is cheap. It's not until something
Right.
happens to you
Right,
and you're
exactly.
tested to see how will you react.
Handle it,
Yep.
yeah.
So I
You
felt like it
handle
was a
it.
test to strengthen me because I'm over here always talking about, oh yeah, I want to advocate for the at-risk and work with them, stuff like that. But now my hand got bit. How am I going to react?
Right.
And I'm not going to lie, it was the last day of school. I was ready to go. I walked the girl in front of the portable to go home because she was going to get a fight. I walked her to her bus. Meanwhile, in the back, I'm ready to go. It's the last day of school, right? I'm like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm going somewhere. I'm going to have fun. Nope, can't find my car. And it was crazy, but I said, you know what, I think that I had to go through that to understand that like I was meant to work with these kids. This is why we need to work with them and help them, because they're not mentally healthy and they're resorting to doing all this other stuff. So
And you know what?
they need people like that.
Yeah.
Now, see, this is where, to me, there's a difference in the white community and the black community, because in the white community, if that would have happened,
Right.
if it was a white child, it would have been like, we need to get this kid some help.
right.
We're starting to see signs, you know what I'm saying? But in the black community, it's press charges on
Right.
him.
He's a thug.
Right.
But and
He's-
then we've been
He's
conditioned
still
to
in
do
the
it to
car
ourselves,
probably
though.
for his
And
fam-
that's
you know, you
where-
never think it's him lashing out because he's probably going through something. You think, oh, he's still in this car probably for the game that he's in or whatever. Even,
that's why
even
people-
if that's the case,
Yeah. And
some of the reasons why they act like this is not because, oh, some of them just do it just to do it, just
Right.
to be seen, just
Right,
to be
just
heard.
Right.
You know what? I was a troubled teen, so I will say this. A lot of the things that I did as a teenager was not necessarily because I was a bad kid. It was like any attention is better than no attention.
right. And some kids
You
do
know?
that. They want
Yeah.
attention. They want love. They want someone to notice them.
Right,
It's
exactly.
true.
And then it was hard growing up in a family where when I was little, I was a crybaby. Y'all see how my son ate to cry at the drop of it? I was a pure crybaby. And I know a lot of people watching right now are like, what? Not you. My family used to clown me. They used to make fun of my facial expressions when I would cry. And then I never could explain why I was crying. So they would be like, what you crying for? And I'd be like, I don't know. And they'd be like, she don't never know why she crying. She cries for nothing. She cries. So by the time I was like 8, I was like, I'm not crying no more.
See, and you just actually gave a testimony about how you were basically perceived as weak for
Yeah,
showing
for-
that.
yeah.
See,
Yeah,
and
For
that's-
showing
and that's
emotions.
the exact point. That's
And
the
a lot of
point.
people don't know that actually crying is cathartic.
Exactly.
Like holding it in actually makes it worse.
Right.
And I'm gonna put something on that too, because I'm not trying to bash my parents.
Right. We
But-
all had wonderful parents.
Yes,
They did their best.
exactly. But and it probably is because it's a in Caribbean households, you're not gonna cry in my house, cry outside,
Oh yeah.
or
Oh, yeah.
cry outside. You're not gonna cry in the house. You're not gonna. And they always bring God into the situation. Oh God, whatever.
Jesus wept.
Right.
Right.
You're not gonna cry in the house, so it's like you'll start crying, and you're like, okay,
We'll
I
stand
don't
in the
want,
garage.
I don't want to stand outside, so
Let me
I'm
suck
gonna
it
just,
up.
Cry it
I'm
out.
gonna just suck it up real
Right.
quick and go back in my corner
And to this
because
day,
I don't
cry.
want to be outside.
To this
I
day,
mean, I cry. To be honest, I cry all the time.
Yeah.
It's, I'm
Behind closed doors.
yeah, mostly. I
Yeah.
mean, I cried for a lot of. I mean, before, as I got into adult, I started to cry more. But when I was younger, I was like, okay, I gotta put up this like whole,
This front.
I gotta be Jamaica. I'm tough. I'm not gonna let anybody, see me cry, and everything like that. But as I got older, yeah, I cry all the time.
I think I kind of conditioned myself.
I cry all the time.
I conditioned myself to
Yeah.
not cry unless it's really like something extreme, like if someone close to me passes away.
And who knows, that could trigger your anxiety, that could trigger your not doing that. Because when you
Yeah.
hold that stuff in, it can make you a lot more angrier than what you
Exactly.
should be.
I
It
let
can
it
make
out a
you,
lot.
you know what I'm
I
saying?
just
It can
very-
make you moody. It can make you
Yeah.
feel depressed.
Yeah.
It can make
It
you
could.
no, life happens and it happens to everybody. If you
With
need to, I
me-
tell my friends all the time, if you need to cry it out. If you need to punch a wall, punch a wall. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with that. Like, get it out.
And I give that advice.
Yeah.
But for me now I get, like I said, I think I condition myself because even when I feel like maybe I should cry or I want to cry, it don't come
Nah,
out.
it doesn't come out.
It doesn't come out now. So it ends up with me. I have to tell my kids, listen, mommy need a minute.
Just let
Mommy
me
need a
breathe
minute
real quick.
because what I didn't want to do was be the type of person that I'm so angry that I'm taking it out on
Right.
other people.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or taking it out on the wrong people.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with feeling anger. Anger is a natural emotion.
Right.
Right.
You know what I'm
We're
saying?
humans, so
We're
Exactly.
humans. We're gonna feel like even
So-
Jesus flipped over a table in the temple. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So we're gonna feel anger. But the thing is how you
React.
deal with it, how
Right,
you gonna react.
exactly.
So I took a bunch of anger management classes. Some of them were court ordered or whatever the case may be. None of that stuff worked for me. What I found worked for me is I need to be by myself. Let me sit in a room with nothing on, nothing around me, no kids, no interference, and let me just
Yeah.
Right. Just
Woosah.
woosah, yeah.
Agreed.
Exactly.
because if not, then I be fighting.
With me, I feel like, okay, so when things don't go, nice on a straight line, if something's off a little bit, something is just not going my way or how I'm seeing it, I go into this whole like, I can't deal with this, I can't take this, and like, a lot of times, if it doesn't, and people are like, oh my gosh, Jamaica, you're going crazy. Even when my parents, like, I'll call them. I mean, my mom understands a lot more now. But sometimes I'll call my dad, like, he'll get me tight. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm telling you all this thing. You might could take it in a better way than I can, but I can't take things that doesn't go the right. Say, for instance, okay.
You can.
I-
You just need to figure out your way of being able
Yeah,
to
my
deal with
way
it.
of dealing with it.
Right.
I can't. I mean, I can deal with it, but I can't deal with like how everybody else deals
Right.
with it.
Yeah.
Basically,
Right.
like I'm used to everything being done on time. If it's something like off a little bit, I'm just like, oh my gosh, no. Like I get crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a slight OCD with me. I get crazy. My anxiety gets crazy. I mean, it's just and then a lot of times I do. Before I was even 21, I resorted to like, oh, let me have a drink. It'll zone me out of things.
Level me out, bro.
It'll level me out of things.
Yeah.
Then I end up having a half a bottle. I'm like, okay, I'm gone. I won't think about anything that happened, what I was thinking about before. And I'm not saying I'm like an alcoholic, but in some cases,
That was your
I had to, let me get to that. Like, oh, let me have a drink or two. Let me have 3 drinks. Just so I could be like, push everything behind me real quick and just, get to that level, situation. Like and then
That
normally
ties into that self-medicating
Yes.
type of thing,
self-medicate, finding something to make me feel
To escape.
to escape everything. And it could be the simplest thing that people think is so simple, and I'm just like, for me, it throws me out of whack. Like now I start having to deal with certain things. Like it's not gonna always be this certain way. Even I was like this when I was younger, but I didn't think about it so much because I was like living with my parents, so I didn't have a lot of things on my plate.
Right.
But as I got older, had my son, it's a lot of things
Bills and working.
yeah, and then it's like I get, other people could just deal. I got overwhelmed with the situation.
Yeah.
I know I was overwhelmed.
I had an issue like that. And my thing is, I would like to the point to where I would worry. If things didn't go the way that I planned it,
You
and
start going
I
crazy.
made all of these adjustments to make sure that it goes this way,
And it doesn't.
I would be like just worried and stressed to like
To
the
the max.
3rd degree.
Not on your
But
back.
exactly.
Yep.
And now as I get older,
Oh,
I have to learn that my life, even my life, I don't have control over. Tomorrow I could not wake up.
That's right.
True.
So with that being
I
said,
still
stressing
didn't get it.
and
I still didn't get over it. So I
like,
still got my
But you
days.
young.
right,
Yeah.
so you learn. But
I
the
still
older I got,
Yeah.
like it starts messing with you health wise as
Healthy.
well.
Yeah.
And I started learning that if I don't, relax and just go with the flow and just
It does mess
plan the
with
next
you.
step, then I'll be like
because-
crazy. So nowadays, when stuff doesn't go my way, I don't care if you don't feel it. I don't care if you don't understand where I'm coming from. If I feel like this is not gonna be good for me to stress about it, then it is what it is, and you can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
So I'm just, if it.
I'm the exact opposite. I ain't never planned nothing out. I was impulsive and just go. It looked good to me, go. That don't get in a car with a stranger, go. And I put myself, and I'll tell people all the time, I don't know how the hell I made it to 32. I really, really don't. I feel like God gave me children to balance me out because I was so wild and impulsive and compulsive and not thinking about how my actions was going to affect me later on because I was so busy just trying to be seen.
Yeah.
Mommy, look at me. look at me, y'all look at me, like look at me, look at me, look at me. And that started from, honestly, I was sexually assaulted as a child. I didn't tell it until I was 6 years old. And then my mom was smart enough to put me in counseling, but she couldn't afford to put herself in counseling as well. And what people don't realize is that when you have a child and your child has been hurt to that extreme, you need counseling as well.
I can relate.
Both the child and the parent,
Yeah,
they both need it because there's no coping mechanism.
Exactly.
So for me, I went to counseling for a while, and then at one point I said to my mom, I don't want to go no more. And I feel like, again, my mom was a wonderful mom. I feel like her mistake was letting me make that decision. Because once I made a decision not to go back to counseling, I didn't want to be bothered with it. When I became a troubled teen, it was like, oh, you acting like this because you was raped, so you need to go back to counseling. And I'm like, nah, now I don't want to go. Like now I'm not gonna go. And even if you send me, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna talk shit to the lady. She gonna hear the outrageous stuff that I say. It was so bad, I didn't go into boot camp. Like, I was out of freaking control. It was police coming to my house. I had beat up people, beat up their mamas. Like, I was literally out of control with just trying to, number one, find myself. Number two, I felt like with me being so vocal, it was because nobody was ever gonna shut me up again. Nobody was ever gonna shut me up
That
again.
was your way.
That was my way of.
Yeah.
I think that's important. It goes back to like what you said about like knowing your children and how they deal with it. Because I can relate. I had some similar situation, but the thing is, I didn't have counseling. Nobody put me in counseling.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I was an adult, graduated from college, when my mom and I actually sat down with our pastor and had the conversation about it. And I didn't act out in the way that Shantae did. For me, it was like, it kind of did shut me up. I was more of like an introvert when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because it was like, you know, you've been told these things, these certain things have happened to you, and you kind of feel like, you know, I won't go into detail about it, but like, you kind of feel like it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you don't have, you know, like for me, I'm like, now I'm a talker, and I like to communicate. And, you know, it's kind of like with your, you know, your mom, you know, having her sit there and not talk about, you know, her, and I love my mom, not, you know, have just to have her listen to me and me tell you exactly what happened to me and the details of it, that helped me.
Yeah.
Right.
And this didn't happen until after I graduated from college.
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to kind of, you know, pay attention to people, pay attention to detail and how people handle stuff in different ways. Not everybody handles the same situation, you know, the same. And, you know, it's not a sign of weakness to get healing. It's not a sign of weakness because it helps you grow. It makes you stronger. And we need to, as adults, you know, teach our kids that as well as condition ourselves to, you know, back to being a healthier person.
I mean, some days, like, personally, like, I will literally, like, go, grab my bottle, go in the closet, close the door,
Start weeping.
and just be in there. Just,
You need that space.
I
to
just
to
need
yourself.
just that minute. And sometimes I'll do it at 2 o'clock in the morning when I know everyone is asleep. And no one is going to be bothering me. No one is going to be like, oh, what's going on, Jamaica? And it's just like, I just sometimes, like, I just need to go in the closet and just cry it out real quick. And some people think it's like, oh, wow, why are you crying about that? It's not that serious. But some things is like, it's serious to me.
It's
Like,
overwhelming.
I gotta just let, and there's a lot of things that I personally, I feel like I can't handle. And I'll go into that space when I'm just like, I'm just done. And for instance, like when I was like, after I graduated like high school, everybody's like, oh my gosh, like from high school, I was like bigger. I mean, I'm big now, but I was like bigger in high school. Then I lost, over the summer of 3 months, I lost so much weight. It was like, oh, was you, like you was working out? No, I was drinking alcohol and nothing else.
Wow.
So, it's just, oh, you see I cry a lot, but I gotta.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Right, yeah.
But,
Don't waste it though.
yeah, so that's really how, like, I dealt with things. It's just, and my dad used to blame my mom. Why you buying Jamaica alcohol? She's not even 21. Like, I mean, because that's who used to buy my alcohol for me, was my mom. Like, oh, you know, at the time, I used to hide it too. Like, because I lived in my parents' house. So I'd be like, I used to hide the bottle of alcohol. Like, whoever used to be able to buy me alcohol, he was just like, okay, Johnny just like to drink. Sometimes I used to drink a bottle in 1 to 2 days. It was gone. But it was just those days I just needed that.
You know, with that being said, I feel like if us as a community, black people, brown people, especially black and brown people, I feel like we need to stick together more.
Yeah.
There's a divide where it's like, instead of helping each other up, we have a habit of pulling each other down.
Crabs
You know
in
what
a
I'm
barrel.
saying? It's like, yeah, it's exactly the sentiments, crabs in a barrel. And I even like experienced it growing up. I used to be like, how come other girls are so mean to me? Like, what did I do that y'all want to be so mean
They're
to
jealous.
me? Right. And now that I have a daughter of my own, when she experiences certain things, I
She tells
find myself,
stories like, what?
yeah, I find myself saying to her things that I was hoping I would never have to say to my daughter. I feel like I'm the type of person where I give credit where credit is due. Like, if your wig is cute, I'm like, girl, your wig is cute. You know, your shoes is cute. That dress is cute. I've always been that type of person. I've never been a hater. And that's kind of what we classify it as, like you being a hater. But I've never been a hater. And with my child, I always used to tell her, you know, you're beautiful. And just because another pretty girl walks into the room, it doesn't dim your light.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even just talking about from a female perspective, because males do it too. But I haven't experienced it from really the males because I'm not a male. So I can't really speak on that.
Yeah.
But just as being a female, a young black female, I found myself growing up like hanging out with the boys because
you get less
The girls
judged
drama.
or
right, the
judgments
girls had drama.
from-
She said this about you,
Exactly.
and I was always the type of kid like, who said what? Okay, well let's go over to them right now and ask them. So Jamaica told me you said X, Y, and Z. So what's up?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I like to confront things head on. If you have an
Right.
issue with me, then what's up? I mean, we ain't gotta fight, but we can talk it out. But if you don't want to talk it out, then we can scrap. That's fine. Either way, I mean, I can give you what you're asking for. But at the end of the day, like, I just feel like if we as a community stuck together more, a lot of these issues, we wouldn't be
It wouldn't
afraid
exist,
to
or-
say
Speak on
Yeah.
what we're dealing with.
exactly. You know what I'm saying? As a woman raising kids now, I tell my kids what type of friend they should be to other people. And if I catch my daughter doing stuff like, look at her shoes, I'd be like, girl, you could be barefoot. If I lost my job today or tomorrow, we could be, and we've been there. I've been homeless. Like, how dare you look down on somebody else for what they got going on?
at this time.
We doing better now, but we wasn't always here.
Right.
You always didn't have Jordans. You always didn't have your hair with the extensions and you know your little.
Life can change in an instant.
In an instant.
Yeah, it can. We're all like a paycheck away from being homeless.
Exactly.
Right. You know what
I've
I'm
always
saying?
been humble. Like me, and just in like the community I lived in, a lot of people didn't have a 2-parent house.
I
So
I definitely did.
a lot of people didn't. Like I had all my friends growing up didn't have their father at home. They would be like, I'm going to my dad's house for the weekend, or I'll be home with my mom during the week.
Or
And-
even if they had 2 parents, one of the parents wasn't a biological parent.
Yeah, it was like their step parent or somebody that just stepped in to their life when they got to a certain. So I grew up with both my parents in the same household from when I was a bit. I mean, they're still together now. So from when I was younger, and a lot of things I did get because I had both parents in the house. I never was the type of person to be like, oh, I got this, why you don't got it? Because I know I've been around, I've gone to houses of my friends and they like, you know, this is my living situation.
Yeah.
And then
So
with
you
me,
had that exposure to the
yeah,
things that
and
you
then
had, so
I never went to a child's like, oh, you ain't got that new shoes. And I never realized when I was younger, because maybe my parents did instill that into me, because my mom didn't grow up with a 2-parent home. My dad did, but my mom didn't.
Right.
So she taught me a lot of shit. Like
She knew.
she knew what it was like. So
Yeah.
Jamie, don't go around like this.
That's good.
Like every every holiday, anything, my mom always was like, or even on the weekend, like, oh, I get you new shoes, I get you new clothes. But I never went to school and be like, look, you know, like, I would just come to school. Like, I never thought it was a certain way. Because my mom used to be like, yo, I used to wear rejects, and, you know, them shits was $1.99, and that was my shoe.
Mm-hmm. They made a song about your ass. Rejects, they cost $1.99.
Yeah.
Rejects, they make your feet feel fine. It's like,
I know. My mom used to say, like, that was her, like, and then she grew up in the project, so it was a lot of shit that she did, and it's like, okay, this was my life. So
she instilled
that in me. So when I grew up, I was like, I never felt like I was better than the next person, because almost everybody in my junior high school, they didn't have that 2-parent home either. Like, it was just common. But I wouldn't be like, oh, you're that, you know, like, it's just certain shit that
I didn't really experience that until I got to high school, because for elementary school, you're too young to really pay attention to what other people got on.
Yeah.
And then when I got to like junior high school age or whatever, I was in Catholic school, so we all wore uniform, everybody was the same. And then I went to high school in Manhattan, the fashion capital of the world. And I used to be so embarrassed because my mom could only afford to send us shopping on Pickett Avenue. If you're from New York, you know Pickett Avenue was like, you're not getting nothing name brand from Pickett Avenue.
You know, it's funny.
You getting them little boutiques where stuff is like $10.99, $9.99, or whatever the case may be, it's cheap. But my mom used to say to me, you got on clothes from Pickett Avenue, your outfit may have cost you a total of $30. But that bitch down the street got on Versace and looked like trash. So it's not the name, it's the way you carry yourself.
Yeah, that's true.
And I remember
when you open your mouth, you know?
My very first week of high school, I had made friends with this girl. And I had on these pants, and they looked like Guess jeans. I didn't buy them because they looked like Guess jeans. I bought them because they looked cute on me.
Right.
That girl came to me and was like, these is Guess? And went to check the tag on my pants. And I was like, is this the real world? Are y'all for real?
Yeah.
This is the real
They
world?
want to make sure that
you got that brand on. I actually, maybe because of the high school I went to when I was in New York, a lot of the kids in there, I mean, I used to low key shop at the thrift store. Remember I was telling you I like thrift shop.
True.
So
I love thrifting.
Yo, a lot of kids in there, like, they were like that. They was from like the Lower East Side. If y'all like familiar with Lower East Side, a lot of people dress like, yeah, they dress like whatever. So a lot of kids, and then some of them was, they have people from Brooklyn, from the Bronx, but everybody had their own type of look. So with me, I had like these old little cardigans that I used to wear. And I used to literally, people were like, you look like a preppy white girl, and I was black and tall. So it was just like, I felt comfortable with that, and my parents accepted whatever the fuck I was wearing. I had different little looks, and they just accepted it.
Nah, I
never had that experience where people judge me for my clothes.
I did.
Yeah.
And I had a good aunt. She's my favorite one to this day. Or one or two. She picked me up and she said,
go ahead, we'll do that.
Yes. So she said to me, listen, you can wear name brand and find it for cheap. And she taught me how to shop. She taught me about TJ Maxx, Marshalls. In New York we had Century 21. And she was like, you can get all these clothes for less than, you know, whatever. You just gotta learn how to shop.
Yeah.
So my mom had gave me I'll never forget, my mom had gave me $200 that year to Christmas shop with. And my aunt took me to Century 21, and when I say I came out with bags on top of bags, I was wearing Parasuco jeans and all that. You couldn't tell me nothing after that. Then I figured out, you just gotta know how to shop.
Yeah.
But that was, if we could stick together, this is really not about the clothes.
Right, back to
It would change the dynamics of everything. It'll make us more open to talking to each other, understanding each other, and stop all the hatred and putting each other down.
Yeah. And we can grow together as a unit too. And today it was a really good discussion to have you on board. Yes. Before we close, we got to get into this Exodus United.
Yeah.
What she does is really a godsend.
Appreciate it.
And I think that part of what she does kind of ties into what we're talking about. You know, how these children deal with these issues, and they're growing too. When you're young, you're maturing, your brain is maturing, you're learning how to deal with stuff, and we just want to let you jump into that.
Cool. So I'll be brief about it. So basically, I'm Simba Castano. I'm a poet. I'm an educator. Basically, long story short is I'm 25. I've been doing poetry since I was 15. I'm from Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. My leader, Will the Real One, was on HBO Def Jam Poetry. He actually got shot outside of his cafe in North Miami area called Literary Cafe. He used to train me and things like that, and he used to take us into like schools and jails and art institutes and basically, facilitate workshops and stuff. And I used to think, man, it's my dream that one day I can go ahead and be that leader, drive around these kids. So I moved to Virginia for a little bit, like Norfolk area, went to ODU, stuff like that. And I joined this organization called TWP, helped out with the nonprofit there. And I moved to Orlando, finished up, my bachelor's for English creative writing and nonprofit management. And I started a program at the Coalition for the Homeless downtown called Speak Out. And it was homeless men on one side and then the women and children on the other side. And we did a poetry program for them. And I used to think, man, everybody just walks right past them. I want people to look at them. So we published a book of all their poetry, and it's available on Amazon. It's called Speak Out, an anthology. And basically, after I saw there was a success with that, I said, I want to go ahead and start my nonprofit. Because it's never the right time to do it. While I'm juggling a full-time, while I have a kid, while I'm finishing up, school and all this, you just got to do it.
Right, exactly.
So I said, just do it. So 2015, I started the nonprofit called Exodus United. We work with at-risk youth and all youth throughout Central Florida, and we basically do different art programs. We have our poetry and pedagogy program, which pedagogy is like education, social issues. So basically, we don't just teach them to write poetry about lilies and doves. No, we talk about social issues and about real stuff, and we get them to think and process it. Like our whole conversation today, like we will basically speak about those things, and then we'll follow it up with like a prompt, like, okay, now put that in a poem. Okay, now put that in a rap. And so, we take them to the studio and they record, and we have them, on our SoundCloud and stuff like that. We give them opportunities, and we do different things like that. And me, I have an album out called Word Cry for the Oppressed.
Nice.
And it's actually all about social issues. It's available on all streaming platforms if you search Simba Castano. But it's about all social issues that I've experienced. So basically, like right here in Orlando, OBT, Orange Blossom Trail, there was one of our youth. She was homeless at the time. We don't only work with homeless. It's that I used to be facilitating the workshop in the homeless youth shelter for 2 years. And she was being human trafficked by another youth in Orlando, OBT, right there, Royal Inn. Wow. No kidding. So like I have a poem about that. You know what I mean? I have a poem about there was a girl.
We did hear that on SB show.
Yeah.
And
I don't mind spitting poems, you guys, if you guys want. I'm just saying. But the thing is, like the youth, they come in and they want to talk about all this stuff, and we let them do their thing and tell their truth and their story. But we try to be really paying attention to what it is that they're saying, and we're gonna record them because I'm gonna tell you right now. There's a lot of organizations in the whole America that work with youth. But my question is, are you doing more damage than you are doing healing?
Right.
Because if you're now giving them a platform, how are you positively influencing the kids? I'm just saying, be real with yourself. Because, and they tell me all the time, Miss, I can't be, like real good, whatever, if I can't curse and say that's not true. You've been conditioned by mainstream music, right? And, like, that's not the case. There's people and stuff like that have real content, like Kendrick Lamar and Nas. And yeah, I understand they have crushers here and there. But the thing is, we're trying to be consistent. We're not going to be hypocritical out here. We need to live and stand by certain things, and we're trying to really teach them because, we're giving these platforms to create and be expressive, but we want them to know, like, you need to speak up and speak out in a positive way.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, I don't mind doing a poem or two or whatever you want. I don't have to talk too much. I could just spit. Do it. It's up to you. Okay, well, so one or two?
We could just do one.
One? Okay, then cool. Okay, so let me ask you. So I wrote. All right. Let me see.
I like the poem that you did about the 11-year-old. She was 11, right?
Ooh. The one
from
she the
OB2.
young. But now let me ask you something. Okay, I kind of feel like doing this. I don't even have this one memorized because it's only a week old. But you know the new song by Kanye West and Lil Pump?
Yeah.
She's such a hoe and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wrote a response poem to that.
Okay.
Basically going in talking about, how can you how can we call our young girls young queens when you're out here saying they're hoes? So I feel like it's kind of deep and relevant, and I mean,
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
All right, so it's kind of deep and relevant. And I mean,
Yeah,
God
you
have
can
a
do that. Yeah.
All right, so yeah, so it doesn't matter, you know. I just want to do something that's current. All right, so I'm gonna do this poem real quick, and so it's called an open letter to Kanye and Lil Pump. All right, so. Miss, why do you continue to call me a young queen when Kanye calls me a hoe and loves it? I mean, I know you have a daughter, but so does Mr. West, so queen, it will only be until another throwback Thursday before his north will travel south just to have her throwback Thursday before his north will travel south just to have her eyes sunk in and her stomach nip tucked like Kanye tells Lil Pump through a drum kit he too loves it. That his daughter will empathize with countries like China for why in 2018 they banned hip hop for the obscene scene he curated with off-brand talent and a tasteless tongue for Pornhub awards, as if his daughter won't grow to one day hear him. Better yet, she will hear him and she will tear the earphone from her head like Velcro. She will fix her face to the most confused of emojis because here she is with a legend for a father, preferring Nas on her top 5 over her own blood because in 2012 Nas actually made a song for daughters. Maybe that's why his first line was for my brothers with daughters, because he had a hunch that his brother wouldn't know how to speak to his kin unless Kim was teaching her how to start a revolution like her husband's ex teaches women all over the world how to march for change, or better yet, take walks for sluts who blossom like Amber's rose when once upon a time it was Jesus who her husband Kanye made walk. Now they call it a slut walk and they wonder why their promiscuous niece is caught in their bed. Hey look, I too was once a 15-year-old girl with raging hormones and estrogen pouring from my pores, but these sound waves we let misogynistic all over the brains of our children. They're leaving red marks on their conscience, and morality, it's never been more flipped. Alice Walker would have been mortified to know that activist women were with their eyes wide open when they searched for their mother's garden in the name of a slut. Lucille Clifton would have rocked in her grave to know good women were not spoken as such. Nikki Giovanni would be appalled. So yes, Kanye did have the audacity to say ho while wearing Donda's name on his neck. But see, that should be a hint. If these MCs don't have respect for their own mother, then do not expect him to carve you a crown, young queen. Instead, chisel it with ink on the outline of your head so when they see you coming, they will detect the golden glow that spills over your skull, and they will kneel to a crown on a queen like you.
Ooh, girl, you gave me
Chills. So, yes, I know it's a little blunt when we're talking to the kids. We're like, she said ho, but the thing is, let's not pretend like they're not listening to it. And they're not
hear it all
soaking
the
it
time.
in. And you know, and so it's like, and I'm just saying, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, when I put that out there and I did it and I posted on Instagram stuff, I had some guys post DM me and they're like, well, if a hoe's a hoe, let her be. He's just calling it what it is. I said, no. It's one thing when you're making a song and you're saying she's doing this promiscuous activity and she's carrying herself like this and she needs to stop and be a better woman.
Right.
But it's another thing when you're saying, oh yeah, she's doing that, but and then you're giving power to that and you're like,
And I love it.
you're
Exactly.
promoting it, but then you
Exactly.
turn around and say, oh, but she's a so. And I'm not saying, and I love old Kanye. I'm just saying.
Yes,
that,
old Kanye.
no,
Say it
and
again.
I love it, and I know, but the thing is that it's the content, it's the music, and the beats. Like even Tupac, you know, he was a poet before he was like he wrote the book The Road That Grew from Conquer. He used to say like, don't just bob your head to the music, like listen to the. We're
Right.
all guilty of it because the beats are amazing.
Right.
And we get sucked in the portal. But then we're conditioned and we start singing and we're like, whoa, what am I
And
saying?
you have to be careful what your
You
mouth
know?
is saying.
Yeah, it's a sword. So.
And be
Yeah.
careful what your kids are listening to.
Okay, guys.
Yeah.
I know it's the ending. Of
Yes.
So that was a good one.
We enjoyed you.
I didn't cry, but you know, I feel good.
I appreciate it. It was just natural because we were just having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's a good topic.
Yeah.
And then
Really
let them
is.
know where they can find you.
Okay, so you can definitely follow Exodus United Inc. on Instagram and Facebook. EXODUS United INC. We do have a poetry and pedagogy program coming up starting this Wednesday for 6 weeks at the library downtown Orlando. You know, youth ages 13 to 18 that like to write poetry or rap, have them come out. We can take them to the studio for free. And like I said before, you know, it's all about giving them the positive outlet. But I appreciate the queens here for doing their thing and having a platform. So, and you know, so appreciate it. Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining. Thank you, Simba.
See you guys next Monday. Yes. 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Y'all know what it is.
Hey,
YouTube. Catch us.
all that. Bye, y'all.